Hi, this is Linda from North Central Texas, and in this video we're going to make a pie crust, just a simple, ordinary one pie crust. First, and I'll have to tell you in the beginning, I use self-rising flour. You might use all-purpose flour. If you use all-purpose flour, be sure to put your 1 cup of flour, all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/3 cup, I'm sorry, one teaspoon of salt, and that's it. I thought it had baking powder, but it doesn't. But if you're going to use plain flour, please use 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm using all-purpose flour, so I don't have to put salt in it. Also, you're going to need 1/3 cup plus 1 tablespoon of shortening, or 1/3 cup of lard, whichever you have that you're going to use. I'm going to use olive oil because that's what I've got on hand, and I'm going to use about a spoonful of just butter. I'm going to put that right in there. I'm going to pour my oil in. I mean, I'm all for one that just uses what I've got. So that's what I've got on hand. That's what I'm using. Now you're just going to have to work with your flour and your oil and your butter and just get it all mixed in together. This is the neatest little gizmo that one of my subscribers sent to me. It's great for doing this. And I guess that's why they made it, you know. It was made especially to do this. Now, if you want to, you can buy your pie crust already made. That's totally up to you. I'm using what I've got on hand because I've already got the flour. Just keep mixing it till you see that it's all that oil and butter is completely mixed up in your flour. It should be the consistency of almost like crumbs when you get it all mixed. Now what we're going to do is add cold water. We want really cold water. And we're only going to add like 1 or 2 at a time to get this all mixed up, because we don't want it to be real wet. That was 2. And I should have used my mixing spoon, not this one, because I'm a little short of a tablespoon when I do this. Just add it gradually. I'm going to try mixing it with my hands. I'm not sure I got quite enough water. I don't think I got enough water in there. So we're going to add just a little bit more cold water. Because you want it doughy, you don't want it real watery and loose. Gotta get my hands in it. And I'm just basically getting my hands in there, getting a handful of it and just kind of squeezing it. You know, I need more water. It's not enough water. But you only add like a tablespoon or two at a time until you get enough water in there. Because like I said, you don't want it real loose. But you want it doughy so you can form it into a ball. Well, just a tiny bit more. But you get my drift. Don't put it all in there at one time. Just put a little as you go. Till it finally will form a ball for you. And it pulls away from the side of your bowl. Let's see. it's not mixed up good because I can look at the color of it and tell. And you're basically going to roll it out to the size you need it. This is well, the whole pan measures about 10 inches. Let me turn this water off. I don't want it like that. I want... There you go. You can just rip it off and patch it up. Because you want it in a round shape. Like your pan. And you got to keep flour on it because if you don't, it's going to stick to your rolling pin. Like I said, it's easy enough to kind of patch up your your dough if it needs to be patched up. Just keep your... Well, it's supposed to be, but it keeps sticking to my roller. So I may have to just do this number and start over. Because it probably wasn't mixed enough. It's too dry. It's a little bit too dry. Just a little bit too dry. And use your measuring utensils if you have them. Don't just rely on the spoon like I did. Because I think that's where I messed up with the measuring of the water. Dough is a little forgiving, so if you mess up the first time, just pick it up and start over. Making sure my camera's still on. Now we'll try it again. And you'll have to apply a little bit of pressure on your dough when you do this. And you'll have little places you might need to patch it up, but that's okay. You can always put another piece of dough in there. So we get it up. Just turn it on itself till you make a quarter. Pick it up, put it in your pan, about halfway. And I can already tell this is going to be a little bit big for this, but it's close. Because I went by the 8-9 inch recipe, using just 1 cup of flour. And if it doesn't meet at the top, you can just push it and lap it over in places you need it to lap over in. Or tear a piece off another section and put it up there. But this is just your basic pie crust. Now, since this is going to be a pumpkin pie, you can add a little bit of cinnamon to your crust if you wanted to. It's not necessary, but you can do it. Now anywhere where it's hanging over, you can trim off. Push it down because I don't want it real thick at the top and around the edges. And you can add what little bit you have left over to places where it may not have went as far. I hope you can see what I was doing. See, like a place like this, you've got a piece of dough that you can put there and just mash it in and spread it. Some of these are way too thick. I didn't roll it out as quite as... So you can see I'm not perfect either. I'm not one of these professional bakers. But any of those little pieces you cut off, you can patch up other places with. Think of it as Play-Doh. And you're making your crust out of your Play-Doh, and you got to make it fit your pan. And that's what I'm doing. I'm making it fit my pan. When it's cooked, it's going to go all together anyway, so you're not even going to know it. I want just a little bit up over the edge, not a whole lot. And you're going to take a fork and just press it. You're making little grooves around the top of your crust. And it just gives your dough a kind of a nice little finished edge. All the way around. And there's our pie crust. Looks kind of funky because I didn't get the very bottom of it real even.